And we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, YouTube and Twitchers. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Chris will be along momentarily. Don't get scared. And there you have it. Welcome to the Chris and Mike Show, ladies and gentlemen. Chris will be along momentarily. He has a project he has to finish up real quick, but we're going to welcome Sean Martin, and he's going to enlighten us on all things music, I'm going to guess, and among other things.
As much as I can, yeah, sure.
Well, we were having a great conversation before we got started, and I heard Chris in the back of my head saying, you can hit record anytime. Golden moments. We're losing valuable information here, so I already know that you like to talk music, and I'm going to assume you're a guitar player?
Yes, guitar player and vocalist, yeah.
Okay, I read that.
And audio engineer, too, and executive
Me
producer.
too. We have a lot of things in common.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a way to turn your, I should have told you this before, do you have a way to turn your volume up just a little bit? Get
Yeah.
closer to your microphone?
Yeah.
Or both?
Let me try to bring this up a little bit. How about now? Is that
That's
better?
way better, dude. Yeah, and
There
just
we
stay
go.
close to your mic so we can hear you.
Okay, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So what got you started in music, and what I started at 9 years old playing guitar, so I kind of never quit from there and decided that I wanted to try it for a living for a while, and I started that journey at 18 in Chicago, and then I moved to Phoenix, and I was 19 then. I met Chris shortly afterwards, and we started Nemesis, and that's how we came to do this podcast, as we've said a lot of times. But these are, some of these are standalone ones, so I try and make sure that everybody understands why we're here. We are talking music. What got you started, man?
It was community choirs when I was 4 years old, actually.
Okay, hold on. Let me interrupt you real quick. It was bell choir for me at church. I forgot. I played in the bell choir, man. Thank you. Go on.
Yeah. So I was doing opera at 7. I was one of the little kids in an opera production for the Mendocino Music Festival one year.
Wow.
And then at 12, I picked up the guitar and started learning. The first song that I learned was Green Day, Time of Your Life. And then the second song I learned was Crossroads by Cream. And then the third song that I learned was Purple Haze by Jimi Hendrix. And then after that, it was all Metallica and Green Day, Pennywise, Linkin Park. When they came out, especially, I was learning a lot of their stuff.
So great. Awesome.
Yeah. And I would always play the classics. I would always play Zeppelin and Sabbath. And, I definitely loved Boston a hell of a lot more when I was much older, but when I was young, I mean, it was a lot of straightforward, especially like 9 Inch Nails when they were coming out. Like they were really big. Sublime.
I think you and I would have got along great.
Yeah, probably.
It sounds like I was the same way. I liked everything that was good, but different than what was going on. Like Sublime wasn't what was going on at the time, but that album was huge,
Yeah. I mean, they were really
There's a bunch of bands
like
after them that tried to be them, but they were the originators of that music, just like Rage Against the Machine was the originator of that style of music. And then along comes Limp Bizkit. We had a legendary DJ on here on the last episode on Friday, and he reminded us of that,
Yeah.
Not that Limp Bizkit's a bad band, but it's a commercial byproduct of Rage Against the Machine. You can't argue that at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. Yeah. Coming from that, they were trying to ride the fad of having a DJ in your rock music. And, that goes back as well. You know, you can take it back to Aerosmith and Run DMC back in the day. You know,
Sure.
um,
But
but
at least they
when
got
it really
credit
became
for
a
it.
genre, yeah, that's when it really became a genre and a hook and a whole group of people doing it, not just, oh, look at this one cool thing that we did this one time. You know,
Right. And boy, did that work.
yeah,
That's what you
yeah,
call overwhelming success.
yeah,
But the
exactly.
Pennywise, the Sublime, what else did you mention? There was another one.
Um,
How about like COC? Did you listen to Corrosion?
oh yeah, yeah, I listen to Corrosion and Conformity. Yeah, they're from around the same. I think they're from around Sacramento, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're probably correct. I don't know, to be honest
Yeah, it was
with you.
not. They were not far. Like I remember them even being mentioned, like, and people going, you know, oh, we're gonna go to the Corrosion Conformity, you know, show and stuff. Even when I was young, and then as well when I was in music school, I had many of my friends who were very, very much fans of theirs. Yeah, and I
And
like a
for
lot
the
of their
people
stuff.
that don't know who Corrosion of Conformity is, they would be a musician's musician band. Like a band like Metallica looks up to Corrosion of Conformity still to this day. You know, they would bow down to them as just doing it their own way with such a unique sound. I have a producer friend of mine who said, individually, those are two of the worst guitar tones in the history of the universe until you blend them together, right? And then it's
Yeah.
that beautiful sound that you hear. And by beautiful, if you don't like distorted guitars, ladies and gentlemen, you will not like Corrosion of Conformity. But it is such a wall of sound, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he knows
absolutely.
those guys personally. He just said it takes such a horrible, in his opinion, a horrible individual sound to create that blend.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, like you've got to figure out how it fits into the entire what I would say is the envelope of the song, the envelope of the sound. You know, so at
Sure.
any given moment, even though it may be a kind of sound, it still fits in somewhere because
It
of the
belongs there
tonality.
sonically, right?
Right. Yeah, and because there's still a tonality and a modality in the sound of the music that keeps it all in you know, in key, and so the things out of key also say something. And that's really where the artistry of metal really comes through, that sometimes a lot of people miss, is that it's not just about the correct notes you play, it's also about the weird notes that bring emotion through.
I'm
That's
really
the
good at
point.
those, dude.
Right.
Because
yeah, all the weird ones. And when
I
when
don't
it's
know enough. I know, how do I want to say this? I know enough theory to get myself in trouble, right?
yeah.
I developed my own sound. I got lucky in that I found my voice on the guitar before I was technically done learning it, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's such a great way of putting it. I've never thought about that. It's all those oddball things that I do that were near and dear to people's heart, because a technically trained musician would not do such a stupid thing, right?
Right. Right.
But it
Exactly.
fit with what I was doing. And like you said, Chris's voice was very unique, and I was able to play with that musically. I could do things on the guitar that were counter to what he was singing for a melody, right? And
Yeah.
now you have that harmony of the guitar and the voice together. You just described something. I painted a picture in my head as you were talking. It's like, that's exactly what we were doing, was fitting ourselves into the song. But we were too
Yes.
stupid to know what we were really doing, right?
But you could emotionally feel it, and that's why you ended
Or
up
somebody
there.
would say, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, or, you know, but that doesn't work there, right? Something's weird about how it sounds. That's how they would always say it. And you can't argue with that. It's like, yeah, you're right. It's weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but sometimes, you know, going through those aspects of it, I mean, sometimes it's the constructive criticism that needs to be had for the moment, but at the same time, you know, Jimi Hendrix would say, no, I meant to do that. And so,
Exactly.
you know, you can, but when you've got a stylistic way of, you know, doing the kind of things on the fretboard that make it speak, that's the kind of little bits that I'm talking about adding in there. And in fact, you were doing it. You were doing a stylistic version when I stepped on of Eddie Van Halen. So when
True.
you're adding in those
True.
little bits into what to you is just normal, rote mechanics, then just that little bit will give someone something to look forward to and to listen forward to.
Right.
Sometimes we as musicians have to remember that a lot of times that's all that it really takes. You don't need to put the whole bottle of salt on there to get someone to understand that you have command of salt. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So sometimes
Ladies and
just a
gentlemen,
little bit truly does
Chris
go a
Dunham.
long way.
Sorry, brother.
Sure. Oh, did he
He might
freeze up?
No, he's back now. I can hear it.
Okay.
There you go.
Hello.
He
Hello.
was froze up.
Command of salt.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Chris
Right.
Dunham.
Right. Right. How are you? Sorry for the
Welcome, brother.
delay. And then I gotta sneak away
You're
again
fine,
at
man.
4:30 because I gotta shut the other port so I don't flood out my neighbor. But Mike
As you
has
can
under
hear,
control.
we were nerding out on
You
music.
were nerding
so-
out on guitar because when I first came on, I heard Sean saying you were wee wee wee. I'm like, oh, guitar talk, which
Yeah,
is awesome.
And he's an audio engineer, and he's a
Oh.
singer, so you have things
Nice.
in common with him as well. So
Right
yeah,
on.
absolutely.
Right on. Cool.
He's a musician's musician.
That's fantastic. Mike likes talking guitar talk, and that's something I cannot do for him. So it's fun when we have somebody on that can, nerd out with guitars, man. That's awesome, Sean.
Yeah,
But he
in
is
this
real
case,
good
I'll
at
be able to
going-
do both. I can talk about vocal stuff too. It's also
Yeah.
a very important aspect of everything that I've been doing since I was very young. Is
Right on.
integrating the breathing exercises because
Cool.
they match up to the same breathing exercises that you do as coping mechanisms for panic attacks.
Oh, no shit. Right
Yeah.
on.
So when you're practicing becoming a better singer by doing the diaphragmatic breathing exercises, guess what? You're also training your body how to get over panic attacks.
No, I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And since I never had
Yeah.
panic attacks, I can just store that in my wheelhouse. Okay. It's been a while
Exactly,
since I did. It's been a while since I did all the breathing exercises and stuff. But I remember doing all that stuff because I had voice lessons throughout my tenure as a singer. Because your voice is like everything else, right? It's an instrument. You got to treat it right. You got to take care of it. You got to work it out. And a lot of people don't get that, which I think is kind of funny.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very detailed thing,
Yeah.
It's for me. I've lost my voice 3 or 4 times already,
Wow.
and I've been able to bring it back because of the things that I learned from the people that I trained under.
That's cool.
And like that was, and I remember the teacher telling me, "I'm training. This is what I'm training your voice to do,
Okay.
so that when these things happen, you can feel how to bring it back instead of just knowing how to bring it back."
Right on.
And that was like some of the most invaluable things, how to open up the registers and the resonances in each of the different spots where the voice usually comes from: your throat, your nose,
Yeah.
the front of your mouth, and
Right.
your chest.
That's cool, man. That's very cool.
Yeah.
I was in shape enough from a vocal standpoint when my last band I was in, we went to Nashville. And the first day we were there, I thought it was all scratch vocals. Like I thought we were just recording the music and stuff. And we did 4 songs in 12 hours with an hour lunch break. And I sang the entire time. And I could talk fine the next day. And then when we were done with the 4th song, the producer's like, "Okay, we got 4 songs down." And I'm like, "Well, I got to do the vocals." He's like, "You did the vocals." I was like, "What?" And he just, he took the best version of every song I sang, and just without
That's a
knowing,
good
which I thought was
producer.
kind of cool, because then there was absolutely no pressure on me at all. I thought I was just scratch recording, so they were following along with the music, and then we were going to come back the next day. I was lay down the tracks, and he's like, "No, you're done." Like, okay, the hell are we going to do tomorrow?
Yeah.
I think legend has it that's how Stranglehold got recorded too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the first take he did, and he did many more takes after that and
Yeah.
never liked anything as good as that. Eruption's the same way.
No shit.
They did that to Eddie.
Huh.
Same trick they did to you.
That's crazy.
We're just warming up. Can you play that thing you've been playing?
Wow.
Yeah.
And Eddie always hated it because he said there's a mistake at the top of
Really?
Eruption that bothered him. Yeah.
Wow.
But the rest of it, I guess, was the best. And back then, you didn't have the option of, I don't know, maybe they weren't cutting tape then or something.
That's interesting. I never knew that.
Or maybe it was in a spot where you couldn't cut too. You
Yeah.
know, there's so many notes on a guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you tell that story, I always think of those two stories, Eddie's Eruption, and I'm pretty sure Stranglehold's the first take too.
Wow. Kind of like Stairway to Heaven, first take.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course, people don't understand, if you're not a musician, they don't understand what well-versed musicians Led Zeppelin was leading up to becoming Led Zeppelin.
Jimmy Page played on over half of the recordings that came out of Europe from like 1940 something to the early or mid 1950s.
Yeah, and
John Paul Jones, same way.
Yep, studio musicians that just nonstop just played and played and played and played. It's kind of like with the Beatles. A lot of people don't understand the Beatles.
Hold on, before you go on to that, think about Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
I just thought of this. You got two of the best studio musicians, arguably, in the history of the world.
Absolutely.
Put together with two guys who were playing in a bar band.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you had the most magic in rock and roll history.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say about the Beatles?
I watched, they had a documentary a long time ago. It was like 12-hour documentary or something. So you had to watch it in pieces.
Like a Ken Burns?
They would play like legit, like 6-hour shows. They would just play nonstop. They would just play after song after song after song, which nowadays, aside from rehearsals, right? But they would actually be in front of crowds just playing like these elaborated, lengthy shows. And you and I, and you probably know this too, Sean, when you're on stage with your band in front of a crowd, that's like 10 practices in one, because you can't stop. You can't say, whoops.
And you can't recreate that setting.
No.
Right. Yeah.
So
it sounds exactly like it's going to sound there, and it's going to be that way. Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing with the Beatles and Zeppelin, man. They had their craft down to it, just a T. I mean, it was in their souls and their bones, every fiber, muscle memory. Just that's when we talked to Paul. We talked to Neanderthal last show. We did a disc jockey that's been all over the United States. Really cool guy. We talked about how Zeppelin it's just timeless. Like, it's just timeless. It doesn't matter when it comes on, what era it comes on, what decade, what year. It just sounds like it was just recorded.
Yep. Always.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, it still grabs you emotionally regardless of anything else. And it does the same thing for me. I mean, every time that I hear something on the catalog, and it's, one of my favorites, one of the 25 different songs that I can't decide which ones are my favorites, it still grabs you and still takes you back to that place, but also at the same time is still an anthem for something that you would want to do right now.
Right.
Like, that's why Black Dog is, I think, the way that it really is, and has become been on everybody's list, from the song that they want to have at their barbecue to the song that Chevy wants to use to promote its new truck.
Right.
It really spans the generations, and
it does.
It really doesn't matter if it wasn't recorded in Pro Tools. It really doesn't fucking matter.
I don't think it would have ever sounded the same if it had been.
I agree
think
with that.
it took those guys' minds of setting John Bonham's drums up in a hallway or whatever they did to get When the Levee Breaks. And come to find out years later, Jimmy Page mostly used little 8 and 10 watt amps. He wasn't using gigantic Marshalls in there, He was using boutique amps that were small and compact and unique enough that he could blend those sounds together to get a massive guitar sound. And we just established John Paul Jones was a musical, and is still a musical genius.
Right.
He's been composing for movies and TV scores and God knows what for 40-some, 50-some years now.
Yeah, it's like Brian May, astrophysicist who plays guitar.
Yeah, just happens to play guitar.
I need something to fall back on.
I think I'll give it a whirl.
I'm going to play guitar, but I need something to fall back on. It's only been astrophysics, just in case this doesn't work out.
So think about this real quick, and I promise we'll get on to Sean's story.
Okay, yeah.
Mark Winters did it in reverse. He became like an astrophysicist and then a musician.
Yeah. We have this guy that's just insanely genius, man. That
So cool.
Really cool. Just fun guy. Really fun guy, just for who he is and what he is. Well, yeah. So whatever you guys were talking about when I jumped on, go ahead.
We got up to the point where Sean had become a musician.
Okay.
He's now an audio engineer as well, songwriter, singer.
Nice.
Where did you go from there? Did you start a band? At what point? I think you said you were in your teens by the time you started singing and playing guitar, right? 12 to 19.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. And I recorded about 10 of the songs that I wrote there, and just really kept them for myself. It was really just for me to accomplish, that. Because I knew that at that point that I was going to go into the military. So I joined the Airborne Infantry right after my 18th birthday, and went to I joined up in the 18X program, which was the fast track into special forces. And so it required you to go through airborne school, basic training for infantry, and then airborne school. And then you could decide whether you would go to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, to do the special forces training, or go to a unit at the needs of the Army and deploy to Iraq. And then after that, you could request to go to special forces, and you would school, and you would get it. So that's essentially what I was on. And when I got to that choice after airborne school, I decided to join. I decided to go to a unit and deploy to Iraq. So I deployed to Iraq in 2006 with the 3rd of the 509th Airborne Infantry Regiment.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate your support.
Absolutely.
Wow. And so, the deployment was a crazy one. It was not fucking normal at all. And a lot of strange experiences, a lot of combat experiences, a lot of, issues with people who I worked with, issues with the way that the war was being conducted, issues for the reasons why we were there. So
you got there, and all of a sudden things were not kosher for you mentally, or what you were seeing?
No. Like, I had to go through a lot of combat experiences to truly know what was going on. And it wasn't until July or so that of 2007, like after I had been there about 8 or 9 months or so already, that I was even considering not being in the military anymore. It wasn't until the sergeant major who I was working directly under sent me to go do a mission that he knew and was expecting that I was going to die at. And when I didn't die at it and it came back to him, he was thoroughly surprised. And it was after that I had all of the intel that this happened from the person who I wasn't supposed to interrogate. I was just supposed to watch, but I interrogated them, and I found out that he was a triple agent. It was a long fucking story. But the point of all of this is that it made me very, very disillusioned to what the system really was that I was a part of. And then because of that, they gave me a choice. They gave me the golden ticket into special forces school, and they said, we'll give you recommendations, or you can get the golden parachute out. And I said, let me go. I don't trust you guys anymore.
Oh, right on.
And so after that, I took my GI Bill and went to music school.
Right on. My son's a Marine. He's getting out in August.
Oh yeah.
He just decided he couldn't.
Stressful time.
They couldn't get. It was weird, man. He was looking at all these different MOSs he's going to transfer to, because he made sergeant, became a supply chief, wanted to change his MOS. Then Iran happened, and then all the MOSs were no longer available. And I was like, well, dude, think about it. We're at war now, so you gotta. They probably have to stop the MOS stuff, because they're not going to let people move and shit and train them while chaos is going on. But yeah, he's bouncing. He's going to be home in August. So
yeah, well, that's good. Good for him.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, if that's his decision, then that's his decision.
Yeah. We're a little surprised by it. But
well.
Oh, really? Why?
What's that?
Why are you surprised by it?
Because all the conversations we had, he was going back to drill instructor school. Then he was going to do another 3 years of that. Once he got done with that, he was going to do a lateral move and get into the fire science aspect of it. And he had reached out to try to get into a program that would allow him to leave come home for 4 years and go to school full time. And then once he graduated from ASU, then goes right back into the Corps, but those 4 years count. But then he goes in as an officer. Then he's kind of an untouchable guy, and for lack of a better term, is going to be a lifer. And then just when he went from one spot to another spot in Pendleton, got the promotion, got the rank up, and then just kind of within 2 weeks span, he's like, I'm out. So that's kind of why it was like, okay, reel it back, man. like what happened? What's the underlying tone here? And then when we had the conversation, it's like, okay, well, make sure you look at all these options and stuff. Just don't knee jerk react because you're not happy with going from point A to point B, because, once you get settled into that new spot and learn all the stuff, then you'll be back, dominating like you've always dominated. He's an accounting, supply, and logistics. So it's not a infantry guy. He was a backup shipper. So when he went in, he had to fall in line with those 3 MOSs that kid was going to do. 2 he couldn't do because he's color deficient. So it was, those 2 are accounting, supply, and logistics. So he's 18 years old and had $1 million credit card moving, equipment around the world. Cake job.
Yeah.
Totally cake job.
It is a good gig. For sure.
So, as a father, you just, it's that worry, it's that concern. Okay, what are you going to do? Life is not going to be as easy out here now as this cake job where you get up, you have to go in at 10, you get 2 hours for lunch, then you go back and you're back, you're done in your day by 5, and you're working out in the morning, working out at lunch, that type of thing. So, we'll see.
Well, he's lucky though in multiple ways, and it's a little bit of wisdom about things kind of tells me at least a few things.
Okay.
That most likely what is probably going on is that program that he was wanting to get into got ripped right out from under him because everybody was going to war.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And
so
because
yeah.
So because of that, because if they take away your future, then the whole reason of why you were joining is kind of like gone. So what the hell's the point of it? And he has a job that transfers into the civilian world.
Correct.
He can go to a lot of different companies and probably get, experience, and they will count the experience that he had in the military as something that helps him and benefits him for a job. That is not a fucking anywhere near what I had. I had 0.
Gotcha.
Like when it comes back for that kind of shit, for, doing infantry stuff, you don't like, the civilian world doesn't get it and they don't understand. And also the skills and stuff just don't apply to the majority of the legal businesses that you could get into in the United States.
Oh, true.
The rest of it is all pretty much, under the table kind of shit that you, again, better decide you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life again, or else you're going to have some fucking problems.
Yeah. And I had told him before that, when he does, like I had a client, I sell houses. So I had a client years ago that his dad had that same MOS in the Marines. He was accounting, supply, and logistics. He spent 20 years in the Marines, got out, went and got a job at the city of Phoenix in accounting, supply, and logistics, spent 20 years doing that. He had just retired when I met his son to sell his son a house, double pensions, double health benefits, double everything, because he spent, 18 to 38 as a Marine, 38 to 58 with the city of Phoenix. And, 58 nowadays is 40. I'm 56 years old, and nobody guesses that. When I was a kid, 56, man, you were fucking in a walker, going to those old, going to eat at 4:00 because you had to gum your food and shit.
I literally just read the other day that Archie Bunker was 49 years old when All in the Family started.
Really? Wow.
That blew me away.
That is mind-boggling.
You just described what we were looking at in a 50-year-old man back then.
Yeah.
A lot of them did look like they were basically over the hill.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm going to be 53. Nobody guesses my age.
No.
So
How old are you, Sean?
I'm 40.
Okay.
You're doing good too.
Yeah.
We were taught never to trust anybody over 40 when we were 20.
True story,
Now
man.
we're 50 something. I don't know where that came
And now
from.
it's time we don't trust anybody under 40.
right? Exactly.
Yeah, that sounds
True
right.
story.
It's kind
Not
of like
really.
it's kind of like
Some of 'em.
you have these realtors on TikTok now. They go viral, right? They have like 23 million views, and they're walking through $10 million houses in Scottsdale shit, and they're thinking they're badass and stuff. You look them up, they've never sold a house in their life, but they're gone viral.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm gonna go viral.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go viral with this house.
Well, that's how they're making their money then.
Yeah, if they're doing
Right?
it right, yeah, but they're not selling houses. But they're acting like they are.
No, they're
and,
monetizing off
right,
Instagram or
right.
whatever.
right. It's just kind of comical. It's like, okay, viral doesn't give you business. It's a video. Next,
Right.
next. It's
Yeah.
comical.
There's some things that you can get from going viral, but
Sure.
it's not directly like linked or related. It's essentially the best that you can have is just another feather in your cap in
Right.
a way. And I
Right.
can guess from this, from this guy that, he's looking to get attention onto a specific thing. So being a real estate agent, I imagine he probably has some budget for it. So he puts a little bit of budget and he can get a lot of eyes on one particular thing.
Right, but he's
And
never
that's-
right, but he's never sold anything. So when you're going forward, it's a chick, by the way, and it's a chick. So when you're going out
She
there,
hot?
doing that, you're not.
She must be.
There's no experience to back it, and you're going through somebody else's listing, and the way they go by the sign really quick, it's like whew, because they get away with, oh well, I gave the realtor who has it listed credit. Like, we're really mindful when a 20-year-old tries to show one of my $1 million+ listings. Like, hey, why are you showing the listing? Well, I'm going to make a video. Yeah, no, you're not. No, you're not. My seller's not going to appreciate you popping up on TikTok, walking around their house in what you call a dress. Sorry, not happening.
Yeah.
But teach his own, man. I don't care. You do what you got to do. But it just, to me, it's kind of false advertising, because you don't have any knowledge or experience because you've never sold anything. And here you are going to a multi-million, I'm talking, $11, $12 million house in Scottsdale. Look at me, look at me, look at me. And it's like, okay, you don't know the first thing about selling a house, yet here you are walking through somebody's thing. And those type of people, they don't live on TikTok and shit, so they're never going to realize it's there. But if they did, I'm sure the shit would hit the fan, because it's not a proper representation of that lifestyle or that house or that property or what it is. My opinion, obviously.
Well, simply you didn't have their permission.
Right. Yeah, and you have to have permission to advertise somebody else's listing, which is why they just breeze by the sign writer. And well, that's the guy's name. Yeah, okay.
But here's my point. To Sean's point,
Mm-hmm.
if I were the owner of that property and you came to me and you said this kid wants to go viral on Instagram, can he shoot a video?
Mm-hmm.
If I had a badass house, I might just say yes, right? To get those million views or 2 million views.
Yeah.
I just think I agree with the way you're looking at it, because if the seller doesn't say, yes, you can put my house on TikTok, most people don't want that done.
Right. That's the problem. They're going through, and we're totally off topic here, but they're going through and they want to show a listing, and then all of a sudden they're there, and then boom, 2 days later shows up, and there's, and then you look them up. It's like, okay, yeah, they didn't have permission because they didn't disclose who it was, and the way they filmed it, and the way they just breezed by the sign. And so, I'm sorry, scroll moment.
I'm just going to blame Sean because he got involved, and then I backed him up. So I remember where we were at. You went to audio school on the money that the military gave you for getting out, correct?
Keep talking about audio. I got to go pull the port. So continue the conversation. I'll be right back.
You're fine, brother.
Yeah. So,
Where'd you go?
At first I decided that I was going to go to Minneapolis, to St. Paul. There's a school there that
I researched almost all of them.
Yeah. So maybe you'll know the name, McNally and Smith.
It sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, they were in St. Paul. So I went there, and I went through the process and everything, and it was all good. And then I was going to go for the audition to the school. And I get there to the audition, and the guy is this very crotchety old, guy who's super pissed off that he has to be there, and is listening to me play, like Voodoo Child and, and I didn't realize McNally and Smith was trying to be like the Western version of Berkeley. Like, they were much more jazz focused than they were like rock or even pop for that matter, if you liked any of those, you were kind of like not really taken seriously, kind of, you know? So I show up there and doing straight rock and like playing AC/DC and Black Sabbath and Jimi Hendrix and stuff. And they're like, and so the guy was like, you don't belong here. Like you really shouldn't, you know, you're not going to fit in this. I didn't like anything that you're doing. You only know 2 versions of a pentatonic scale. You don't belong here. And he discouraged me a hell of a lot. So I just wrote it off. And then 2 weeks later, they gave me a call back and were like, hey, why aren't you in classes? And I'm like, because the audition dude told me I didn't fucking belong here and that I only knew 2 versions of pentatonic scales, and that wasn't enough. And they're like, well, no, like you can still come. And I'm like, no, if you got people like that at that school, like I don't really want to go.
No, that would turn me off as well.
Right. Yeah. So I just let it go. And then I looked at Musicians Institute in Los Angeles, and they didn't care that I didn't know everything that I didn't know. They were like, yeah, we'll teach you it. That's the whole point of why you're coming here. So they finally had the right attitude. And I was there at a very unique time in the school's evolution, because it was still remnants and of the spirit and like the original founders of some of the programs were still like alive and still there and running around the school and doing open counselings and stuff. So, you know, there was still this awesome sense of community where the teachers are leading by their example of technique, of leading by their the way that they play. And that's what people are really going after and spending a lot of time to learn. It wasn't, and now it's kind of become a little bit more like everything is multiple choice questions, and there's a whole lot of reliance on, you know, like online quizzes, and, you know, it's kind of formulated a little bit much, you know?
I could have been an early adopter of that school, because that's one of the ones that I looked at, and I'm 13 years older than you almost. So
yeah,
that school was not just getting started, but it was becoming the school that you experienced back. You know, Jennifer Batten went through there and ended up playing for Michael Jackson, and I can't think of everybody that went through there at the time, but that is
Jennifer
one of the
Batten
places that I really wanted to go.
Yeah, Jennifer Batten was on one of the boards for a while. Like she was there at the school for one of the years, like trying to direct it. It was really amazing. Yeah, like there's the a lot of the teachers who were there, you know, it's stuck it out for a while into the 2000 teens, and some of them are even still there. And they're still, you know, shaping a lot of great guitarists to come out of there.
Sure.
And, you know, for me, I went through the independent artist program as well. That was centered around giving you a bit of audio engineering and music business to get you the sense of how to release your own music. And it was a very useful program. I did it twice, in fact.
Yeah, because you can make money with those skills.
Right, exactly. And so as well as taking full-on music business class, I also did the audio engineering program twice as well.
Cool.
And so I got to work on the boards that they have there and really get a sense of all of the different positions in a studio and knowing how to do all of them and how they all apply to the artist, because I knew I was going to be the artist, but I wanted to be the artist that knew
Me too.
what the expectations of the other people in the room were, so that
That was
wasn't
super important to me too, Sean.
Yeah, like so that I know who the fuck I'm even talking to, you know,
How to
and
record
who to
drums.
ask the right questions to, so
You
that I
know,
get the right results.
What are drums supposed to sound like? What is the bass supposed to sound like? Because it's not the same as when you're in a concert venue, right? Those are two different thought
Right.
processes. Studio is a controlled environment. What kind of song are we recording? Rock, country, rap, pop? You know, all those are different recording mentalities. So I'm with you, man. That's really cool. I like where your thought process was.
Yeah, and I even took, you know, live live sound classes multiple times in multiple different with multiple different kinds of boards. It was really, really expansive. I really tried to capture it from every different aspect that I could, so that every single bit having to do around music that was going to be happening in front of me in the future, because I knew music was all I was going to do. I wanted to be able to have something to do with it, to at least know a little bit about it. And eventually, once I graduated in 2012, I had a temporary psychotic breakdown. And eventually,
I've been there too, brother.
yeah, yeah,
Wow, I have.
yeah. I think more and more that people talk about these things, we find that it's
That's
much
common.
more common for
I
people
don't
to
mean just common. I mean
understand.
to be flippant like that, but yeah, you know.
No,
you
it's
know.
it's much more common that people
Yeah.
And
understand.
I feel bad saying it because mine was drug induced and yours was serving our country, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, mine wasn't drug induced, but it was, as a result of not dealing with the emotions of everything that was taking my nervous system completely off on a just on a tangent, so I would be subject to whatever my nervous system wanted to take me out into, based off of anything that was going on around me. And when I'm living in Los Angeles at that time, and there's there's a whole lot of things that will trigger you, like it's, and that way, because I didn't know how to deal with any of this, I was just being taken. And so I could never really focus on anything. And my life was just becoming more and more of a shamble, and less of a journey.
Do you see what I see, Mike?
Yeah. I knew. We're sorry to interrupt you. That was
Yeah,
our band. That was our
I
band
heard
name.
you guys reference that you guys had a band named Nemesis. Well, I have a song named Nemesis, friend of mine. Yes.
He's got the evidence right there.
I like to troll photos where our guests talk, because it shows, it's visual.
It shows how the universe is all cohesive. Right?
Yes.
Look at that full circle moment.
Right. That's pretty cool, man.
Right.
Yeah. Keep talking.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
fine, man.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. So let's see. Where was I?
You were at the end of your psychotic break.
Yes.
dealing
Oh,
with
right.
your-
Okay. So,
Yes.
yes. So after that happened, I had some friends reach out to me, and they were like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I've been stalking the streets of Los Angeles for the last 3 days. I don't know where the fuck I'm at. Come pick me up."
Oh.
And they were like, eventually talked me into, you need to start asking for help. You can't do this all the time. You're meant for so much more than this. And so I'm looking at losing everything, and eventually, I did, and became homeless for a while in Los Angeles, and only for a short period of time was I really truly on my own, and homeless.
Me too. It was
And
about
I
a
was
month.
lucky because there was an inpatient clinic that I eventually got selected into once I was in the psych ward at the West LA VA. And I was selected to go and do this program that they were calling FOB Hollywood, which was an inpatient clinic for veterans with PTSD, combat veterans. Everybody in there had experienced some kind of combat experience that was significant to have them all have a diagnosis of PTSD. So everybody in there is going and fighting the same battles from some different other form or another. We're all fighting the same battles. And it was in this beginning that the band still stuck with me. They were like, "You're going to be in here, but you know what? We're still going to be making content.
That's cool.
We're still going to try at your
That's
speed.
so cool, dude.
Yeah.
Whenever you want to, as much as we can, we'll do it." And they stuck with me all the way and completed our album, Antiquate Hate,
Nice.
that we were all ready to release. In 2016, we worked with Charlie Waymeyer in Los Angeles, who recorded it all. And we had George G1 Archie, who did the final mixing and mastering. And he was the audio engineer for Death Row Records in its day.
Oh.
Wow.
And he brought a really awesome way to make the rap and rock music really mixed together. So it's not really relying on that new metal edge, but still more organically because the soul of it is really connected. And
Yeah,
that's what we were
that's
going
awesome.
after. And I think we accomplished that with that record. However,
Mm.
we had a manager at the time who tried to steal the record at
Oh.
distribution.
Oh,
Ouch.
It was super fucked up. So that
Yeah.
management still had claimed its copyright on Spotify.
wow.
And it was really fucking ridiculous. And it took me a long time to undo it. But once I realized that's what was going on, I had to kill the whole record.
That sucks.
5 years.
That
Oh,
sucks.
Everything that I had
God,
gone through,
dude.
all of that,
Yeah.
coming from it. These are some of the pictures that we had from it.
I
They
figured.
were golden pictures.
Yeah,
For the
dude.
time,
Mhm.
Yeah,
they were
that's
fucking golden.
the
Mhm.
And
pictures he's been
it-
scrolling through are amazing.
Yeah, this one's more recent. This was taken at the Wheelhouse in Colorado.
Okay.
but,
But these up here,
but
these
yeah,
up here
like-
were back in LA during that time.
Yeah, with the
Okay.
guys there,
Yeah.
up in the corner there.
Yep.
Yeah, like whenever whenever those Caspers and Alex are in there, that's from that
Okay.
era.
Cool.
And it was such an amazing experience to go through all of it. And it really ended up getting taken from them as much as it was
Yeah.
taken from me.
That's
And after that, both of them were immigrants. And
oh no
at that
shit.
time in 2016, 2017, there was a whole lot of serious issues with immigrants being in the United States. And with the music that we're releasing,
Yeah.
we didn't, like, nobody knew. So at some point we had to be like, look, their lives were pulling them apart. It wasn't just the emotionality of the moment. It was their lives pulling them apart.
Yeah.
Their lives, my life pulling myself apart. With that
Mhm.
let down, I also was going through a divorce. I had to leave Los Angeles entirely.
Gotcha.
Like, everything was crashing down horribly in that area. And it was one of those times when it's like, man, maybe this is the end.
Did you write?
And I just have to, oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
I wrote a lot.
Just the lyricist in me. Did you write through all that? Because I mean,
Of course he
I'm sure there was some great lyrics and songs and poems and journaling during all
Yeah.
the chaos, man.
Yeah. I still remember everything very,
That's
very
good.
well, and draw from all that stuff. What I tried to do was what I ended up doing is I left Los Angeles at that point and I went to Florida. And
Okay.
when I was in Florida, there's
That's not
a
much of an
large baseball
That's
tournament.
that's a big fucking move, man.
Oh man, I did it in 38 hours. I
Wow.
drove, like, you guys want some stories? That's some motherfucking stories, all right? So driving from Los Angeles, like, for 18 hours straight lands you in somewhere around like Katy, Texas.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And I did the southern route I think is through around where you guys are at.
Okay.
And you
Where
guys
he's
may
at.
know.
I'm in Arizona. Mike's in Pontiac, Illinois.
I'm in Illinois.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
in-
yeah. Around Arizona, yeah. So there was, maybe I can't tell the story, but the idea is that Border Patrol still has a spot where they take over the entire highway on
Yep.
that area,
Yep. Still do to this day.
and it's very important. Yeah, it still is. It's
Mhm.
still very important for people to realize that that's there.
Yep.
Is what I'll say when you're traveling to California. Okay. Very
service
important
announcement.
because we're live. That's what. Just be aware.
I'm thinking that, Sean, we got to have you on a Friday because Fridays we have unlimited time because, I missed some of your story, obviously, from doing what I had to do with my water irrigation. But yeah, I could see us going down so many different paths just talking to you right now.
Oh yeah.
But keep going. We still have time.
So it gets you to
agree
around
with you,
Katy,
though.
Texas. I'll fast forward to going around Katy, Texas.
Okay.
And there's this town. I don't know what town it is, but when I got there, I got to this Motel 6. After 18 hours of travel, I look like hell. But I'm wearing my AC/DC t-shirt and
Okay.
ripped jeans and, combat boots.
Mhm.
And when I walk out, this is like a Sunday. Everybody's in their khakis and pastel shirts. Like, everybody is looking like they're straight out of the Stepford Wives. And I'm like,
Mm.
I am going to get lynched here. Like, this
Yeah.
is going to be bad.
Yeah.
And so I asked the person at the front of the desk at the Motel 6 who has nose rings and piercings and, it looks totally goth. I'm like, is it okay here? Is like, am I going to be, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm way worse than you are. You don't need to worry about a thing, hon. You'll be fine. I was like, oh, okay. So I went to the barbecue and lo and behold, everybody's fine with it. But I was really scared for a second there, because everyone looks so just over the top together, but that's just how they look on Sunday, man. That's Texas.
That's
and that shit
crazy,
weirded
man.
me the fuck out. Like, I had never seen anything like that, you know? But that's small town, Eastern Texas for you.
Wow.
And so from there, I did another 18 hours straight to
Wow.
Tampa from there. And it was like, by the time I got to Florida and that warm air is hitting you, it doesn't matter if you're that tired and you're trying to keep yourself awake.
Right.
That warm air is, it doesn't matter if it's blowing in your face, it's still going to make you want to pass out. So after that, I think I slept for a solid, like another 18 hours after that. It was one of the most intense road trips I've ever done, but I absolutely needed to do it.
We're kindred spirits, man.
Yeah.
Let's get to where we're going now.
Yeah. Fuck it. We're going. Yeah.
I came back here from Arizona for a 2-week vacation, and almost 16 years later, I'm still here. So
yeah,
that's how I operate as well. I got to stay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for me, I had I still knew that I had to deal with the issues that were still a part of me and how I got to the place of where I was without anything that I'd been working for the last 6 or 7 years or so. So around in Tampa, there's a large baseball community.
Yeah.
And I leaned into that. I started playing baseball more and more.
Right
started pitching and working on all the different types of pitches that I could throw, working on my curveball and my changeup and the circle change, and trying to get every different aspect that I could to just get myself not focused on playing music like I had been, but to grow into something more than what I had been. Because that's what I needed to be,
dude.
Right. Yeah. and how I did it was I took all of everything that I had and that was going on and put it into therapy and put it into baseball and slowly brought myself back into mixing and slowly brought myself back into playing just music whenever I really felt like I needed to.
Nice.
So I really started connecting to it and not like making it into something that I had to do. Which is kind of what it was looking at before. We were signed to a sub major of Sony. And like the pressure that was coming up from this record was big. It was a big deal for us, but we were expecting big things from it. And it just turned out to be big. It just ended up getting kneecapped from it.
There's a time when you can't say, I don't want to play today.
Yeah.
If you're doing it professionally, there's no calling in sick. There's no saying, I'm not going to do that gig. I'm not going to go to that recording session. You have to. That's your job.
Right. And I wanted to avoid that in myself. I wanted to not build that habit. I wanted to give myself find the real connection that I have to it in the growing person that I was becoming, the learned person that I was becoming every day, because I'm focusing on being the eternal student all the time.
Just to make it fun again.
Keep learning. Yeah. So I took the time and I wrote and compiled and recorded a version to Normalcy. But it took me about 3 years through the pandemic. I went to multiple different and even while a version to Normalcy was in its infancy, of just being tracks that I recorded and mixed myself, and I still knew they weren't good enough. But at this time, I also went on an open mic tour. That's what I call it. But essentially I drove across the country, again, and stopped at open mics whenever I could, just to meet as many different kinds of people I could who were trying to do the same kind of stuff as me. And I ended up meeting some really, really awesome people and seeing some really awesome music communities across the US. And it gave me hope to realize that we may just feel like we're in some kind of isolated pocket, but there is truly, when you're around all of the people who are really going after the same thing that you are, it's really easy to become inspired.
Nice.
And
just talking to you and
really
knowing somebody
thing.
else went through what I went through, right?
Right.
And vice versa. Yeah, I heard you say it too. I went through the same thing, just in a different way, just to know that you're not alone in knowing that you lost your mind, that you were put in a position you never intended to be in. It helps to know that you're not the only one that's ever been there, right? I felt like such a failure that I pretty much gave up more times than I'd like to admit, but I'm still here. So,
right. Failure is just learning.
Yeah.
Failure is truly, if you learn from it, then truly it's not a failure.
Well, I've always told my kids, it's not how you fall, it's how you get back up. everybody falls.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 But,
And the
you know.
more and more that instills into this, into everyone,
Mhm.
including the younger generation, the
Yep.
better the world is going to become.
Yep.
So
Absolutely,
true, man. So true.
So I knew that I had aversion to normalcy, and after the uh, working with Plaid Dog Records to create Instagram Hell and One Last Chance, and One Last Chance is much more of like a R&B kind of song that it's very, very different from the majority of the quarantine stuff. But I wanted to create that R&B kind of feel, like we're using organ and shit, you know, like we're really getting into it, but we're still using a kind of, I'm still adapting a rock lick into a more R&B kind of setting with One Last Chance. For me, it's actually much more akin to the Beatles than it is anything else.
Nice.
Because so I highly recommend people go and listen to it. But the newer music that we've released, Aversion to Normalcy, is when I decided to take. I knew that what I had with Aversion to Normalcy wasn't good enough. I knew that I didn't meet the requirement that I needed for the music to be as good as it possibly could be. I knew that I failed in that. But I knew that if I took it to the right people, they could make it what it needed to be. So I took it to Nashville.
Nice.
And I took it to Blackbird Studios, and with Nathan Yarborough, who has done albums with Hailstorm, Evanescence, Alice in Chains,
Nice.
Korn, like all of the bands from like I was on a show now where they're like music hasn't really been, haven't been any really good stuff since like 2005, and I'm like, man, all of those bands that Nathan worked with are all putting out music past 2005. So yeah, there's a ton of good music. Yeah, like they really, and they're really bringing it like all the time. Yeah, like Lizzie Hale is off the charts with what she's able to do. It's really, really impressive just to see her play live, but let alone on the records. Like it's awesome. So I knew that Nathan could capture everything that I'd be trying to put it down because he's already done it before.
Yeah, that's cool.
So when I brought it all to him and he was ready to go, and I'd already recorded this 3 or 4 times. So I get in the studio and he's like, dude, you're one take Jake all the time. Damn, what what the hell is this shit? Normally we had set 4 hours to do guitars. You'd knocked them out in 2. What the hell is the matter with, are we missing anything? Like what's the matter with me? So it's very fun to have these, to really sit with an expert who knows that he's still doing the same eternal student kind of mentality that I am.
Yeah.
And it was such a great thing to see. The place that I was missing with mixing was really just in my mentality and my approach. It wasn't the technical knowledge, just I wasn't thinking about all of the different elements of a mix. And it was so great to see that I was much closer than I thought that I was, but I still know that any great record that I'm going to put out, I'm going to use Nathan or somebody of his excellence or better.
That's cool.
It's got to be that way so that the quality remains that high, but I'm still going to try, and I'm still going to be working on my album Bedroom Inc., which is all an album of covers, but it's something that we put our own spin on these different covers. And so I'm mixing them myself. I'm starting to bring them up into it, so to be ready to go. So we've got Aversion to Normalcy. We did and once that album came out, we had a really crazy response. We just crossed 1 million streams for the album as a whole.
Congratulations, man. That's amazing.
That is.
Thank you. Yeah. We went through a few different avenues to try and build up the streams. And what I've come to find with these numbers is that it's more of a reflection of your marketing efforts and less of how good your art really is. There's a lot of times that musicians think that because I don't have a lot of fans right now, that says something about the value of my art. And it truly does not at all. Not anymore. And you really need to stop doing that to yourself.
Yeah.
If you're doing that to yourself. I found that the numbers now are a reflection of the marketing efforts that you put into it. And a lot of times that's marketing money. That's why the numbers for these other artists are so high, is because they have large marketing budgets. Yeah.
Yep.
So there are ways in which you can go about doing it your own self, but it's also important to adjust your expectations when you do that. Because I've done
Yeah.
it both. I've tried to release a record on my own and do it on my own. And then I've paid subject matter experts to place it in where it needs to be and to do the things that it needs to do so that the algorithm works, not just what I think should happen.
Right.
Right.
Not just how I think it should look, but what the algorithm needs it to look like so that it gives it to everybody else.
Yeah.
And when you just sort of take that sort of adjustment to it instead of I'm giving up all my creative freedom, then it becomes a lot more palatable when the good things start happening and then a lot of people start seeing it.
Yeah.
So that was a fun journey to go on my own, to start realizing that the authenticity that I have of who I am can transfer into this medium of social media, even though it seems like it can't or it won't. I'm not exactly like some of the best streamers. So that obviously means I don't have a place. That's not how this shit works either. You can forge your own place when you go about doing it the right way, because there's a process to everything.
Sure.
So once I took that mentality and with this record has pointed me and orientated me in that direction, I've started to open up a whole bunch of different avenues to make creation work for me so that it stimulates the revenue streams. And then when I control all of the revenue streams, then that becomes an artist-centric business model instead of the artist bottom business model, which is we feed up everything to everybody up there and they take our records and they take all of the lion's share and give us what's left.
Yep.
So when we control the levers of command, essentially, the levers of power in this way for ourselves, truly in the music industry, that's when we truly become free and independent.
That's fantastic. That's cool. We got to have you back on a Friday, man. I could just tell we could talk to you for like 3 hours, like it's 20 minutes.
We'll expand on these stories some more. Yeah. We are limited on Tuesdays. So
So look at you.
Tell everybody again where what your latest releases are.
Yes.
And where they can find them.
They can find them on Spotify. They can find them on all streaming services. But mainly the Spotify one, you can find us on the quarantine.bandcamp.com. We're on Bandcamp as well. So you can, pay for the albums there, give us donations, tips, anything like that.
Cool.
It's all very much appreciated. And streaming, we're on, social medias, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at The Quarantine.
And then obviously thequarantine.com is your website. And all the social media links are on your website as well, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Yeah, and obviously YouTube channel, etc.
Yes.
Cool. Right on. That's Sean Martin of The Quarantine.
I'll be subscribing to all those right after this.
Yeah, we'll get all that subscribed and give you props and then I'll shoot you an email with Fridays and you pick a Friday that works for you and we'll get you back on and go deeper down the rabbit hole of Sean Martin and The Quarantine.
Yeah, this was a blast.
Sounds awesome, dude.
I really enjoyed talking to you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
And the parts that I was available to be present, I enjoyed it as well. I looked at the clock. Holy shit. It's like that. We wrap up every show like this, which I'm sure you'll appreciate considering where you've come from. If you're feeling suicidal, depressed, don't do it. Go for a run, go jog, go journal, go scream in a pillow, go find somebody to talk to. If you cannot find somebody to talk to, text 988. Someone is there waiting to talk to you to help you change your mindset, talk you off that ledge, get you off that cliff. Tomorrow is a much better day with you in it. Don't leave a hole in somebody else's heart because you decide to leave the world before you should. For the Chris and Mike Show, I'm Chris. He's Mike. This is Sean Martin of The Quarantine, thequarantine.com. Go check him out. Go buy his music. Go follow him on all his socials. We're going to have him back on the show, go a little deeper dive into his life resume, which, by the way, we've just touched on just a portion of.
Lost the surface.
It's just, I'm excited to have you back and just have more of an in-depth conversation with you because I just imagine everybody's going to be like, dude, that was too short. Get him back. So we'll get you back.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Truly appreciate your time. And again, I'm sorry I had to bounce a couple times with, the damn irrigated lot. You have to, be responsible so you don't flood your neighbors out. God forbid.
It's all good, brother. It's all good.
Until next time, we'll see you. Peace. Love you, brother.
Peace. Love you too, man. Thanks, Sean.
Much love.
Journey, take it wheel.